Hello, I'm your Kingdom Spiritual Transformational and Spiritual Warfare Life Coach and Mentor, Latricia Booker. And I'm stopping by to tell you that they are having a hard time trying to figure you out. They're having a hard time trying to figure you out. And I'm going to leave this message with 1 Corinthians 2:14 through 16. And it says, but people who aren't spiritual can't perceive these truths from God's Spirit. It all sounds foolish to them, and they can't understand it. For only those who are spiritual can understand what the Spirit means. Those who are spiritual can evaluate all things, but they themselves cannot be evaluated by others. For who can know the Lord's thoughts? Who knows enough to teach him? But we understand these things, for we have the mind of Christ, my God. And that is the word of the Lord. Listen, kingdom people, my goodness. These people are trying to figure you out. They can't. They're having a hard time. Not only are they having a hard time, but they'll never be able to figure you out because you're not figure outable. The only one who can figure you out or will know your ins and outs is God himself. Is Jesus the Christ. That's it. That's all. You can't even figure your own self out. Okay? Listen. When you put yourself in God, when you put your trust in him, when you give yourself over to him, you trust him to do what he will with you because he is all-knowing. He is God. He's a sovereign Lord. He reigns over all. So there's no sense in you trying to figure yourself out. So for these people to be trying to figure you out, I just heard it's diabolical. But here's the thing. These are the kind of people, they try to figure everybody out. It's not you. And they try to figure everybody out because they're manipulative. They study people weaknesses. They study their strengths. They just study people to see how to, I want to say maneuver with them, how to navigate. I'm hearing how to enact their ploy because they have plans for other people. This is just how these people work. These are the kind of people that feed off of other people. And in order to feed off of other people, you have to control them. You have to manipulate them. You have to kind of get you have to get a grip on them. Get your fangs in them, so to speak. The fangs in your mouth. You know, claws. Get your claws in them. That's why they study. That's why they study you. They try to figure out. They thought they had you figured out, kidding people. But they didn't. And they realized it because right when they thought they had you figured out and they enacted their ploy, it failed. So then they go at it again. They went at it again. And they keep failing. So every time they fail, they realize they don't have you figured out. So they study a little harder. They watch you a little. They squint their eyes a little more. They write more notes. And they're having a hard time figuring you out. And here's why. As the scripture says, it says, but people who aren't spiritual can't. I think I said perceive when I read it initially, but it's actually receive. And I knew I said perceive when it's received, but I felt led to keep going because it's both. People who aren't spiritual can't receive or perceive. And then at the end of that verse, it says, for only those who are spiritual can understand what the Spirit means. So that means perceive it. So these people can't understand you and figure you out because they aren't spiritual. even if they practice some form of spirituality in the form of dark arts, if you will, that's not the spirituality of God. That's not true spirituality. True spirit, well, everything is spiritual, but what this scripture speaks of is the truth of God, not from darkness. We, as God's people, we understand. We come to understand. We come to learn. We're learning the truth of the dark world. But because we are of God, we are God's people, we can understand both. We have to understand both, in fact. So, listen, but people who aren't spiritual can't receive these truths from God's Spirit. So here's the thing, kingdom people. You receive truths from God's Spirit. That's why they can't understand you. They're trying to understand something spiritual when they're not even spiritual. They can't perceive it. They can't receive it. It goes on to say it all sounds foolish to them, and they can't understand it. So when they look at you, when they study you, when they're trying to figure you out, it's all really foolish to them. Initially, they thought they knew what they were saying, but now it's starting to look foolish to them. In fact, kingdom people, those who know you are a person of God, even if you kind of say or spoken certain things of spiritual matters, it sounded foolish to them. And they took it just as that, foolishness, jibber jabber. And part of why, kingdom people, is these people have come across others who, talk their God stuff. That's how they like to think of it. They talk the God stuff and it's like, whatever. And they don't take it seriously because, unfortunately, the other people they come across, it wasn't serious. Or maybe they were serious, but they just were weak vessels. They just were unaware of that other dark world. And even though people know of the devil and know that he out here to get us, they don't understand sometimes that this stuff works through people. Some people are unaware and naive to that. So they like pretty much an open door and an open vessel for the enemy to do his 1-2 on. And so because these people have already had those experiences with others that be on that, what they call that God stuff, they thought you was the same. So when they watched you and studied you and they thought they was going to do their 1-2, that 1-2 turned into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and on and on and on to infinity. Well, we ain't got to infinity, but the point is they never got they done with you because they hadn't figured you out. They having a hard time figuring you out. They realizing that this ain't just God talk. This ain't just God stuff with you. This the real deal with you. And so it says that it is only for those who are spiritual. Only those who are spiritual can understand what the Spirit means. So they can't understand this with you because only those who are spiritual, that are of the Spirit of God, that is, can understand what all this is with you. What they do understand is, okay, this is something different. This is real. This is something they never seen before. And I'm not saying it like, as I already said, those people, some of those people, not all, but certain ones of those people, they was probably for real too. They just lacked awareness. I'm hearing my people shall perish for lack of knowledge. And it's not necessarily no fault of their own, because before you know, you don't know. It just happens that you know. Before you knew, you didn't know. We had to know before we didn't know. And sometimes before we knew, somebody did do what they want to on us. But because of God's grace, because God is with us, because we seek Him, He raises us up. We don't stay on that 1-2 they did to us. We rise. And so some of those people they did that to very well may do the same thing. Maybe they already have. Going on Kingdom People, it says, those who are spiritual can evaluate all things, but they themselves cannot be evaluated by others. Listen to this, Kingdom People. These people know that you see right through them. And that's so troubling to them, because they trying to figure you out, and they can't. Because these things can only be understood by the Spirit. These are spiritual matters. But they recognize you see right through them. And they're not accustomed to that either. They're not accustomed to people seeing right through them. You know, when people started really seeing through them, I'm not saying that no one didn't see through them, but when it really started happening is once they came across you and you see right through them. And whether you know other people around them or not, because you shining that light on them, and you not shining that light on them like this with a light, or even seeing anything about them. It's just that you being aware causes other people to become aware of them too. Furthermore, these people, they run their mouth about you. Okay? And they really expose themselves. And not just that, but going back to what I was saying. Because you are aware, see, God uses you to expose them. God uses you to bring them to the end of themselves and their evil and wicked ways that they have been doing. Because as I've already stated, they've been studying people for way too long, and all for the wrong reasons, to enact their evil ploys and plans on them, to bring people down, to destroy people, to bring destruction and chaos in their lives. And that's exactly what these people have been doing, and they couldn't do that on you. They couldn't do it with you. They can't do it with you. They're having a hard time trying to figure you out. So how they gonna succeed at destroying you? They can't. They gotta figure you out to destroy you. They can't figure you out. They never will. And again, those who are spiritual can evaluate all things. You evaluate all things because you're spiritual. You have the Spirit of the Most High God living and dwelling in you, and you can evaluate, which is why you see through them. You've recognized, you have pattern recognition, so that means you recognize their patterns. See, one thing that these kind of people don't get, which is part of why they can't figure you out, which contributes to that whole, bubble or bag full of their confusion around why they can't figure you out, is because, when they do these things towards you, you already know it. You done seen this before. You've been in training. Remember, before you knew, you didn't know. But how do you know? How do you learn? By seeing it, by experiencing it, by patterns. You learn. Then you learn what those patterns are. So here, when they come, because they a newcomer, maybe not anymore, but, because these ones in particular been trying you for a little while. But they're a newcomer compared to the old comers. They don't understand you done already been here and done that. You done seen this before. You know it. So you're able to evaluate. And even if they do something a little different than what you're accustomed to, you still recognize those similar patterns. Then you evaluate it to get the understanding of, okay, the difference with this one. And again, that you're learning. That adds to your wealth of knowledge and wisdom concerning these matters in particular. And so, it goes back to how, it's been said that, God uses your enemies for your footstool, and just how God uses them to help you, to push you into purpose. Well, part of how they do that is to building up your wealth, your knowledge of wealth, your wealth of knowledge. Wow, look at how I did that. That's because I just said something right there. They helping to build up your wealth. Because in gaining wealth, God helping you to create wealth and bringing that wealth in, There's a magnitude of knowledge and understanding and wisdom that you do have to be able to gain it and sustain it and distribute it the way God, has purpose for you to do. So anyhow, kingdom people, they can't evaluate you, but you can evaluate them. And they know that. And that's uncomfortable for them. They know, these people know you can see right through them, but they can't see right through you. And they're accustomed to being able to, don't want to say see right through people, kind of. But again, they watch people and study people, to do evil. And these are people that just are unaware that this is happening. You aware that this is happening. So you move in such a way where you don't let your right hand know what your left hand doing. So you certainly ain't gonna move in a way where you letting them know what you're doing. All they need to see is what they see, what they need to see. The inner workings of you is none of their business. And the inner workings of you is what they don't know, is what they can't figure out, kingdom people, because it's not for them to figure out. That's secret. That's you and God's secret place. And so they having a hard time trying to figure you out. And because they're having a hard time trying to figure you out, they're having a hard time trying to enact their corruption and destruction in your life. But the truth is, kingdom people, it'll never happen. And so it goes on to say, for who can know the Lord's thoughts? Who knows enough to teach him? And that's the thing, when they trying to figure you out, it's almost trying to figure out God, to know God's thoughts. Because as I said in the very beginning, trying to figure you out is a waste of time. You ain't even trying to figure you out, not in that way. You're trying to understand yourself so you can learn and grow and be aware of what you need to work on and improve, those kind of things. But only God knows your ins and outs. And so for them to be trying to figure you out is like trying to, reign over God, trying to know God's thoughts, because he the only one that know all the thoughts that about you. He the one that holds it all. I'm hoping I'm making sense here. And so, who knows enough to teach him? They need to just leave it alone, really. They're trying to figure you out. They're having a hard time trying to figure you out because they're not above God. If God is the one that holds everything concerning you, and only God, who are they? But you know what I've learned about these people is this, that all they know is what they know, and they not trying to know anything different. These are the kind of people, they just accustomed to being negative. That's all they know. They don't want no different. Do they want, like, I want to say better in their life? Yes, as far as gaining things, as far as material things. They even want certain attributes they see with you. But here's the thing. They still want to be negative. What I mean by wanting to be negative is they don't want to change. They don't want to do what's necessary to make the changes. It was on my spirit earlier today that in order to change, you have to make changes, you have to want change. And in order to want the change, you have to want to do the work to change. And in order to want to do the work to want to change means you have to understand that it's a work that has to be done to change. And while these people, some of them may understand that, they don't want to do that. They want to be like they are and get different results. Ain't that insanity? Ain't that what they call the definition of insanity? These are the kind of people that want to go around destroying other people. They don't build. They want to destroy, but they won't. The results of something built. It goes against universal law, really. It goes against the laws of God. Like, you reap what you sow. So if they sit up and wish bad on you and other people, but then they want all these wonderful things for themselves. Like, if all that horrible wickedness and want bad for others is coming from you, then it has to be given to you. And so part of what they're doing to kingdom people is they're trying to figure you out, and they can't, because what they're doing is trying to figure out why all this harm they're wishing towards you ain't working on you. It ain't happening because they've done this with other people, and it hit them. It hit their life. The harm they wish on them, it brings harm to their life. The difference with you, kingdom people, is, as I've already said, you are of the spirit. And not that some of those people that they've done it to wasn't, but they were naive. See, when you know what it is, that's half the battle already won. On top of that, kingdom people, when you have a stance for your life, in other words, if you believe the word of God for your life, if you believe God, what he said about you, and you standing in that, and you moving in that, and you living and moving and having your being in that, what they try to wish on you can't override that. It can only have that effect on those who are not doing that with themselves, who are not taking on what God said and dressing themselves up with it, clothing themselves with that robe of righteousness, dressing themselves with the dressing of salvation. I think I'm saying it right. But kingdom people, point is, it don't work on you, and they sitting up trying to figure you out. Now, do they understand that you have a covering and protection? Yeah, that's clear. But they still trying to figure you out. They know you protected by God. They know all that. But see, here's the thing. When you are protected by God, they understand at some point they can't override God. But what they be trying to do is trying to figure out how to get you out of God's protection. So that's why they're trying to figure you out, trying to study you to see what they can do with you. But here's the thing. They can't understand you and figure you out because you are of God. You are of the Spirit. They can't take you out of that. Going back to it, well, it all sounds foolish to them, and they can't understand it. For only those who are spiritual can understand what the Spirit means. See, all of what I just said as far as you clothing yourself, you having a whole armor of God, you declaring what thus said the Lord, you calling those things that be not as though they were, those kind of things, that's you clothing yourself with what God says about you, which means that what they say, what they trying to do, what they wishing on you is null and void. And so they can't understand it or get that, or they don't get it because they're not of the Spirit. They can't receive that this is what's happening and this is what's going on. Even if you told them, they still would be like, they wouldn't get it. Because this is a spiritual matter. This is beyond them. So they can't take you outside of God's protection. Because that's the part they can't figure out. They trying to figure out how to do that, not understanding you clothe yourself with his protection by doing what he say do, by declaring what he say declare, by declaring what he said over you yourself. And so kingdom people, they having a hard time trying to figure you out, is what this is all coming down to. This is real difficult for them. You giving them a run for their money, and the truth is they ain't got that much more money. So they ain't giving them too much of a run for no money. They down to their last, kingdom people. They running out of money messing with you. Even paying people to do, not only paying people to do stuff for you, towards you, paying the ones that do that kind of stuff to look into your life. They trying to figure you out by paying the ones that look into your life, to look into your life. They trying to figure you out. They employing people to help them figure you out, and it's still not working. They can't figure you out. They having a hard time figuring you out. So to conclude this, kingdom people, it says in verse 16, for who can know the Lord's thoughts? Who knows enough to teach him? But we understand these things, for we have the mind of Christ. We have the mind of Christ. And so they trying to figure you out. They having a hard time figuring you out. Why you do it like this? How you do it like this? We have the mind of Christ. You have the mind of Christ, kingdom people. They're trying to figure out your mind of Christ, but only those who have the mind of Christ can understand those who have the mind of Christ. These are spiritual matters. Only those who are spiritual can understand what the Spirit means. If you don't have the mind of Christ, you're not going to figure. They can't figure you out because they don't have the mind of Christ. In other words, kingdom people. But the truth of the matter is, they are trying to figure you out. And they having a hard time trying to figure you out. And that is all I have to say about that. So if you like this video and if it resonates with you, please just go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Then click on the subscribe button and subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so. Thank you. Make sure you go ahead and ring my bell. L-A, ring my bell. Ring my bell so that you can receive a notification every time I upload a new video. If there's any information you need to know about me, you can find all that right down below in the description box along with other helpful resources. Kingdom people, thank you all so very much for being here. Thank you for all your likes, subscribe, shares, for all your comments and feedback, for all your financial contributions to my channel, and for all the seeds that you sow into me and my ministry. And a special thank you to those of you who do sow into me and my ministry. I pray that your seed return to you a millionfold. Thank you all, kingdom people. Thank you. Now, kingdom people, I love you all so very much. I really don't want to leave you, but I do have to go right now. Yeah, I will be back to hold my kingdom people down. Now, kingdom people, above all else, let the Holy Spirit lead you in all things at all times. Kingdom people, we are untouchable, we are unmovable, we are unstoppable, and we are unbreakable. Kingdom people, keep growing, keep going, and go and be great. Now, kingdom people, stay in your kingdom bag, doing kingdom things, making kingdom moves, because we are kingdom, period. Now, that is our time. This Jesus girl is out. Shalom and peace.